What's up, guys? I'm Tony from Starkill, and today we're going to do a quick little studio tour. We're here in the basement of my house in Illinois. We're right outside of Chicago, and I've spent the last few years playing with Starkill and slowly working on my little writing laboratory. So I'm going to show you a few things, and yeah, I guess we can start right here. This is my control room, as you would say. So here's my desk. Yeah, I probably spend most of my time in my life sitting right here as my dog Bubba hangs out down there. I'm a PC guy. I haven't made the switch to Mac because I don't understand those goddamn robots. And I use Reaper for free. How do you say it? Cuckoos? Cuckoos?
Kakos?
Kakos?
Kakos.
Kakos.
Yeah.
Okay. Kakos, I promise you members of our band have paid for your software, and more will eventually. But I haven't yet. I'm still evaluating. So I don't have a whole lot of outboard gear. I do most of my stuff in the box. I did recently pick up this. This is a Pro 1 by Crest Studio. I was looking for a DI box or some sort of input that had some features for bass. And I ended up finding this as a gem, which worked out pretty good. So I can run my bass into it through the line input, and then it immediately has an insert where I have this distortion overdrive pedal. So I can bring that in and out as I like. It's got two parametric EQs, I barely ever use it, but then it's got a compressor, expander, limiter. So I use that to kind of tighten everything up where I want. It's got a smart tube thing, leave that off, it sounds like shit, it's completely fucking useless. And then outputs. But that's been kind of a nice little tool lately because it's solid state, it weighs like nothing at all, and it's just been my go-to like bass pre to get in. Then I've got these two Pro DI radials. These are actually on loan from the beautiful dudes at Dance with the Dead, since I haven't seen them since we got locked down. But I've been piping my guitar in with those guys lately. Right here in the center, I've got my good buddy Mike's Roland Juno 1. I use this as my main like MIDI controller, and I pretty much only use MIDI for keys and strings. I don't really do much drum on the keys anymore. I'll show you guys why later. And then this little nano pad here for just some like sampling fun stuff. For listening, I'm using these Yamaha NS5290s. These are this really weird bookshelf speaker by Yamaha that's kind of the modern version of the NS10, but with a centered tweeter. So you can't put these on their side, but it's the same thing. It's kind of like what you would expect from an NS10, with a little more wattage, and I found them at Goodwill for like fucking $10. So can't go wrong there. Brought them home, they both work perfect. I took the backs off of them, put a lot more batting all inside, glued them back together, and those are my near fields. And I do most of my double checking on those, because I honestly don't like them very much, but they sound like what you would expect when you listen to like a boombox in a garage or like someone's bedroom, somebody who does not care about speaker placement or anything. So it's a good place to go to be like, where is this going to sound the shittiest? Then up here I have these Mackie MR8s. These were previously broken and I recently fixed them. They're just super loud for my space. I have a small room and they're just a lot of low end and a lot of issues. So recently I built these soffit mounts, and so these speakers are actually sitting on stacks of cinder blocks, and they're sitting inside of a bass trap. And as you can see, they're open and exposed right now. I still need to come in and seal those up, but I haven't quite found the sweet spot, and I'm still doing some learning as I go. So, but it's helped a little bit having that pair off. I can do a lot of tracking, turn things up. It feels good, it feels loud. without the bass being crazy. Every week I seem to build more acoustic treatments. I've just been putting these baffles in. They're like your simple rock wool fabric construction. I haven't done anything too fancy, but this ceiling actually is double insulated and then slatted. So not all the slats are perfect. Sound should be able to go up through that and diffuse a little. And then yeah, just a few random baffles that I've had over the years, slowly adding more to it. Alright, next up I got a bunch of guitars, some guitar gear, some other shit real quick. Here's the boat. This is actually the Starkill boat. I bring this out for all of our Starkill tours. It's been running with us for years, even though it's like a really flimsy cardboard chipboard case. It's been through us for what, like fucking 10 tours, I feel. So I'll just go through a few things real quick. Actually, down here, this is my buddy Mike's rig. He's running this Headrush, which we use to track a lot of stuff here. And then right above it, you'll see this EV SX20, I believe. And that actually has a power amp over here. So whether I'm using the Axe-Fx or Kemper or the Headrush, we always have a speaker to just go straight out of right away and hear that tone, even if I'm hitting pause on the DAW and making changes. That's been a nice thing to have. In the guitars, we've got this. I don't know if you guys have seen this brand. This is Douglas. This probably has floated around our area for a little bit, so if you owned this, you should shoot me a message later. I think like 12 people have owned this fucking thing around here. This is actually really fun to play, but the pickups are absolute crap. And it sounds like there is like a wet tarp over the guitar, even with the newest strings and like clipping your preamp, it still sounds like... So, still fun to play though. There's a bunch of my buddies' guitars. I have two very talented musician roommates that live with me. I'll put a comment somewhere so you guys can find out who they are and go give them some love. But they have a bunch of intermingled gear, and some of it's cool. I will share it with you. Some of it just not. This terrifying thing. This was a guitar that was like kind of co-built between me and my buddy Eddie. In our first band, and it's a bunch of pawn shop pieces and things I've collected over the years, and it actually plays fairly well, although the frets are extremely small, so at this point I don't really like to play it. And it's got this really cool Caller bridge. This actually, it doesn't go through the back at all, it just drops into place and you get like one full step each or up that you can dive bomb with it. It's just a weird fucking trashy thing with a kill switch that we made, and somehow out of all the guitars it's still here. I've probably had like 20-30 guitars and only had a few. This one's pretty nostalgic. I got this one from my dad many years ago, and yes, it's a First Act, but this is a Sheena First Act, and I put Seymour Duncan in the bridge recently, and I've written more songs on this guitar, more awesome riffs, more jams, more solos, more published material on this guitar than any guitar I've ever owned in my entire life. And I think it was played one day on tour, but I drank maybe like a gallon of wine and was really, there was chickens running around at that show. I don't remember where we were, but I stole some posters and drank too much. I busted this out, and the string kept getting caught into the fret. So the fret's been fixed since then, thanks to Parker. I still play this thing all the time. I almost traded this to Sean at one point, because even he played it and felt its weird Pickup Destiny myth. And yeah, I'll probably just have this thing forever. It's probably like $200. Next we have this guy. I'm trying to go a little fast here. This is like mid setup right now because I was making some changes. Again, there was Seymour Duncan in it. But this, my friends, is a AliExpress Yngwie Malmsteen Signature Series Strat scalloped fretboard. the most Chinese, unbalanced, light, poorly constructed guitar I've ever seen, owned, touched, worked on, had friends work on. But I love it. And I've almost taken it on tour. We have finally got it to a place where it plays pretty gnarly. It's got some stainless steel frets, and by some I mean one. It's got one stainless steel fret. Parker did a bunch of fretwork on this. It's had numerous setups, and it's finally got to a point where it is very fun to play and fun to shred on, but I wouldn't suggest doing any chord work or anything. It's just borderline unintentional, but it is pretty. It's like owning a hot rod. You can only use this for one thing, and that's pretending to be Yngwie. But that's what it's for. So this thing's awesome. I think it was like $150. So with the Seymour Duncan and the work and the damage, is probably worth like a 99 now. So that's all the guitars over here. Oh, real quick, I will show you this because why not? These are my sister's awesome pins that she makes. They're all like Pokemon custom shit. I'll drop a link somewhere for that too. I don't know how this works. Guitars over here, some baritones, some Reverends. My buddy Mike, he's been playing a lot of Reverends lately. These are really awesome guitars, really nice stuff. He's got a few of these and they just play awesome. Reverend, you guys kick ass. And then we've got my Ibanez Iceman. This is a weird Iceman. It's a slightly smaller scale, smaller body. I threw the Bill Lawrence dime bag pickup in it and a Carvin pickup up in the neck. And I actually did play a bunch of shows with this just because it was like super light, easy to throw around.
Is that the one I dropped?
No, you dropped the Telly. Oops. So over here, I just got a bunch of rack mount gear. This is like a working space between PA gear that I use for shows and band, and then just other stuff we use for the studio. We do have this sweet little JCM 900 down there. That again is Mike's. It was a gift from his uncle, and we get to use that every once in a while. It's a blessing having music roommates who have nice gear. This next one here is Kevin, awesome guitarist. That's his amp. You have to turn it up super loud though, so I fucking hate it. And it annoys me. It sounds super clean, not very colored, and you have to rail it. It's like a Fender Twin Reverb, and in my mind, I bring on the hate. Fuck those amps. And then he's got a bunch of pedals. Most of the pedals you're about to see are Kevin's pedals. This guy's pedal junkie, him and Mike both. But I get to reap the benefits of having them in here and getting to play with them. So next up we have my vocal booth, ISO booth, whatever. This is my only space to really isolate anything because my house is pretty small. But I just recently built this. I've used it for some vocal sessions and some drum stuff, and it's worked pretty good, so I'll go ahead and show you that. First off, we've got this Rode NT1. This is a recent purchase by Mike, just to add something to the studio. Me and him do a lot of tracking and writing together, and this has been phenomenal. I highly recommend this microphone. The Starkill guys use the SM7B a lot as far as the writing process goes, which is what my whole space is really about, is just writing, not essentially mixing. And I love the SM7B, but this has opened some doors as far as working in a booth and being able to get off the mic and really be loud and project. And it just sounds fucking great. I don't even know how to describe it. It sounds great. Watch YouTube videos, not this one. So we do a bunch of amp recording in here, vocal recording, and sometimes drums too. It's pretty dead, so I can deaden everything out and then just add effects on. First off is this X100B. This is one of the gnarliest amp heads in existence. This is the Steve Vai amp head. He recorded a bunch of stuff with it. I'm not going to waste everyone's time getting a Steve Vai boner. But it's an awesome head, and it's going through a matched Carbon 212 cab. We've mic'd this thing up with everything. We've used this on a million recordings. I love this head. It sounds awesome all the time. You can run any overdrive in front of it and and just get a great rock tone, great lead tone. You can push it really hard and get a great lead or metal tone. Up here, a whole bunch of pedals, random overdrives, delays, different things that we've just accumulated over the years, and some plane radars. There's a bunch of plane parts throughout the studio. And then a little sonar kit that we've been just doing some sampling with lately. Just trying to get some stuff for non-metal projects. That's what I use. Speaking of drums and metal projects, I have a little drum area with this weird hybrid kit, so we can go take a look at that. If you guys saw us play on the last 2 tours ago, we tried to bring out this like hybrid electric acoustic kit, and we had some success, some failures. We learned a lot, but it's actually something I've been doing in my writing process for many years because I like the feel of having an acoustic kit, but the functionality of MIDI. So here is my monstrosity of a kit. It's a combination of acoustic cymbals, trigger pads, and then acoustic shells that are the feel of real drums, but they have mics in them that are then acting as triggers. So that way I can send everything to whatever VST I'm using, whatever drum software I'm using at the time, and everything's MIDI alignable, and I don't have to worry about a whole bunch of mic bleed and stuff like that. I rarely mic up overheads. I pretty much just use the cymbals. Like you can see this one here. If you come underneath, it's actually triggered. I send that USB over to my computer over there. I just run Steven Slate most of the time. Oh yeah, I rarely mic this up, but when I do have some treatments that I've built. And again, they're the same thing that I did over there, just fabric, rock wool, and lumber. Pretty simple. And then I've got my archaic Alesis mixer down here. It's just a glorified headphone amp. And a few keyboards I've collected over the years. You gotta have your essential cable wall and a spot for all your mic stands. And then something to have all your creepy stuff in, like your cat skulls and your stuffed pheasants, and you know, just spooky studio stuff. I have this archaic mixer that's been a project of mine for years. Another Steve Vai reference. I didn't think this video was going to have 2 Steve Vai moments, but that's okay. In his studio, he has a totally modular console, and that way he can have the exact EQs, the exact preamps that he wants. So this luckily does have strips and can be modified. So I'd like to eventually get specifically what I want, build out a mixer, put in some DAW transport controls, and be able to use this as like my center point of the studio. So that's pretty much it. That's all my gear, what I've been using lately, and I'm gonna get back to writing some songs.
It's actually quite topical.
I'm gonna get better beer for this.
It's a whole bottle of expensive Mike whiskey.
How do you guys want the intro to go?
Hi.
Got it. Can't believe that they just threw these away.
Who?
The fucking drummer from I Killed the Prom King. He will do that though if you make a fist. All the way. Come back up. Boing! Come on. Oh god! Alright, I am gonna give him a Kong ball. How long is this? I'm not watching all of it.
Not all of it.
We're in quarantine. Yep. And we will get naked now.
Oh my god! Are you serious? Oh, Jesus fucking Christ. Why do we do these? I'm not gonna get technical on anything. God
Please
damn.
bleep that out.